procedural things like passing the minutes. So I'm going to turn it really over to you.
Okay. The primary reason that I called the meeting was to advise the Ways and Means Committee on debt that we have coming up. Because we had such a tremendous year last year, it was interesting. We ended up with a higher cash balance than anticipated. So one of the things that Matt and I focused on was paying down our debt. We have a annual note that's outstanding that is for a little over $4 million. We typically pay about 750,000 on that note each year, and projects roll off, and then we kind of layer and add projects on. Well, this particular budget year, we didn't have like a new layer of projects to add because most of the stuff was financed through the COVID money that we got or grant money that we received. So we took and doubled basically our payback. So we're going to pay back about $1.5 million and drop our note from 4.1 down to $2.8 million. We also have a lease that's going to come probably the next meeting, and I wanted to cover that with you now so I don't have to call you back for another meeting. But our leases also come due in May. So that first meeting in May, you will see some lease legislation. We had spoke to the fire department. There are some issues with the ladder truck. So we will be getting a new ladder truck and some other pieces of equipment. But the primary reason for us doing that particular lease is to get the new Quince truck. So, and we will, I'm not sure, well, I know Alfie's going to figure out a way to either sell or dispose of the existing ladder truck. I know we're not going to just write it off, but somebody will take the truck or will scrap it for parts or something. But we do need to replace that ladder truck. The questions?
No.
Okay. The other item that we needed to do for this particular year, we try to pick at least one policy per year to review. This year we looked at debt policy. Last year it was like all of our purchasing stuff. One of the things that we're recommending for city council to do is to reconsider our stance and position as it relates to conduit debt. We will probably have people approaching us to do conduiting. Kind of the last time we did it was when we did it with the mall, when the assignments group came and asked us to issue debt on their behalf. We did not charge for that particular service. That is not the position of many cities in the United States. We did do a search of cities across the United States and kind of packaged all the fees that we saw related to issuing debt for the benefit of a third party that will ultimately end up with the asset being returned back to the city as a public improvement. So what you will see is on page 6 outlines all the fees as it relates to us issuing debt for a third party developer, private investor, and what we would charge them to issue that debt under the city's name. There is a...
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If we are issuing the debt on their behalf, does that make us liable ultimately
No.
if they default?
Actually, there's caveats in the purchase agreement where the city is just giving our good faith and credit. We are not held liable for the debt.
Okay.
That's why it's called conduiting, because you're getting the benefit of a tax exempt financing, but you're passing the burden of that financing onto the third party. but they are benefiting from your tax exemption.
Got it. Okay.
And what communities have done is they charge for this particular service. They charge for the additional municipal advisory services, the additional negotiating of, I don't know why my dogs decided to run right now, but you're probably gonna hear feet behind me. You have to pay for like additional bond counseling, any experts that are involved because you have a special kind of financing structure, or if there is some arrangement that we need expertise with. So there is all this management and consulting was the first one. There's an actual fee for issuing the debt. There is a third fee because we will have additional reporting, and we always have continuing disclosure, additional financial information that we have to provide because this debt is out there. And the last one is just in case we have some kind of extraordinary fee that nobody thought about, there is a charge for that particular fee. So we looked at all of the current policies that have more detailed charges as it relates to conduiting debt, and we're advising council to initiate fees as they relate to those particular 4 categories. And those fees are in bold and italic on page 6 of the policy. The other item that we saw inside of there are some new short-term options other than just issuing a note that the city could take advantage of. One of those things is commercial paper. Some communities buy other communities' debt as a form of investment. Our policy was quiet as to whether we could do that. We are asking that we be allowed to do that if we find a situation that is beneficial for the city, that we would be allowed to enter into commercial paper purchases. Both Matt and I have received training on commercial paper. So as far as that's concerned, we're in compliance because we've received the training and we actually have people that would advise us to go in that direction. The other item that's on there is lines of credit. We asked to use actually high yield lines of credit as another short-term investment. And the only reason we're asking for these alternative solutions is just in case the market is not the best place to go. We wanted some additional options other than just going to market and issuing a note. So that one relates to the policy changes that we had. And then I believe the third piece of legislation that we had was as it relates to the new requirement from Auditor Farber's mandate for us to segregate all federal funds into their own separate fund. So you will see that we're asking for 2 funds to be created. One is brand new. It's for the money that we anticipate getting from the new American Rescue Plan stimulus payment for local governments. And that has to be kept separate from the coronavirus relief money and from the FEMA money. So now I have 3 different federal pots of money all related to the stimulus. The other fund came up as a result of a reporting that we do annually as relates to the police department and their counterfeit monies and fines. There's a federal portion of their local trust fund that we have to separate the local, state, and county money from the federal money. So that second fund is to separate the federal money out from the local, state, and county money as it relates to forfeitures, mandatory fines, anything, seizure money, all of that related money. So that's what those 2 funds are about. I think I got all the pieces. Did I cover all the pieces, Don?
No,
Oh, I
mute,
can't
Don.
hear you.
You're muted, Don.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The reappropriations ordinance, the only thing left that you have to talk about, but that's,
Sorry, I forgot about that one. Okay.
it's not on this agenda, but we can put it up. Might as well go ahead and throw it out there.
Yes, the reappropriation ordinance, Matt and I have kept track of some of the items that have been missed or forgotten. When the primary charge for this reappropriation was to reappropriate the coronavirus relief money so that we could spend it. We know how much, we have an estimate of how much we're going to be getting from the American Rescue Plan relief money. But we did not put an appropriation in yet. We will probably have to come back right before that money arrives and appropriate that. But I want to wait and guarantee that the money they estimate us receiving, we actually do receive. We had some positions that we needed to budget for. Now that we have these new spaces, there's some positions we need to get back in play. We need to beef up our part-time staff. In community development, we had some overages as it relates to payroll items that didn't properly come into the budget. So we're cleaning up all payroll items that we had outstanding. But the primary driving force of this reappropriation was the coronavirus money.
All right, let me see if I got this all right, all down.
Okay.
I'm trying to read my chicken script. On the debt portion, we were able to pay down twice as much, in part because we had created no new debt, and what projects we had were essentially covered under CARES and other grants.
Correct. And we're doubling it to use our available cash and pay down debt first, rather than just keep carrying a high cash balance.
Okay, and then on the leases, the only lease you talked about was the ladder truck replacement?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, that's the driving force of that one.
Okay, on the debt policy, you review at least one a year. This year you were doing the debt, and there were essentially two or three things. One is to do the conduit, to give permission to do the conduit conduit debt, and then to give other options like commercial paper. And did you say another one?
Yes, lines of credit.
Okay, thank you. Lines of credit. And then on the segregation of the federal funds from the other funds, in two areas. One was the American Rescue piece, and the other was the law enforcement piece.
Yes.
Okay. And then the last one, the reappropriations, primarily the accounting for the appropriations of the coronavirus money, waiting on the ARP money till we know for certain, and then positions.
Yes.
And those are the major reappropriations.
Yes, those are the major reappropriations.
Cool.
I have can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about positions, are those external or internal positions?
Internal.
Okay, internal positions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we have a drafting engineer that left. So we are replacing that person. We are reestablishing a part-time property maintenance person that left last year. We held off on filling that position because our cash balances are pretty high now. We need that help. So we are adding that position back. We need help in the building department. So we are putting a new position of a draft engineer in the building department to help Rafiq.
Okay. Then my other question is about the debt.
Yes.
Is there going to be a scoring system, and who are we going to go into debt with? Small businesses, large businesses, medium? Is there going to be like a procedure or a protocol of scoring, like, okay, we want to partner with you, or, you know, you don't meet our scoring, so we're gonna pass. So is there something in place when we're establishing these relationships?
Yes, we actually have a municipal advisor who
Okay.
works with our underwriters. The municipal advisor will first try to do a negotiated sale where they try to make an arrangement with an investor and negotiate a rate. If we cannot get it negotiated, we can go out competitively into the market. One of the things that we did do, and one of the reasons why we delayed presenting the debt from last meeting to this meeting, was because we entered into the state market access program, which wraps our debt and credit enhances us so that we have a stronger position if we have to go to the market. We will have a lower interest rate.
Okay.
So we're backed by the state, hopefully. I mean, we applied for it. We got it last year. I'm hoping we get it again this year. And it basically took us from 1.5% of a payback down to 0.84% on our debt. So it saved us about $14,000, a little under $14,000 to have the state enhance our debt. The marketing is done by our underwriters, who is Key Capital Markets is our underwriting team. So I kind of keep my hands out of it and let the experts do what they do. I let my municipal advisors lead and do the reporting. We have bond counsel that advises me on the legal positions that the city takes. And then our underwriters sell our actual debt in the marketplace for us.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Were there
Anything else for the good of the order?
I just wanted to question about I know there was prior comments in regards to the fire truck. Is this
Yes.
is this a sell off of the existing one that?
No. My understanding, and I would have to go back and talk to the fire chief to be very specific. We had bought a ladder truck a few years ago. Normally, you only buy a ladder truck about every 10 or so years. Our ladder truck, after owning it for about 3 years, is causing us a bunch of problems. It didn't stand up to the standards that it was sold to us at. And it therefore needs to be replaced. And they're replacing it with a Quince ladder truck. Now, I don't know exactly what the difference between the one we have and what a Quince is. I would have to go back to the fire chief and get clarity on why. But they are going with a different style of ladder truck that is a little less expensive, because that ladder that we paid for before was over $1 million. So you're talking about at least $1 million of expense on a new ladder truck, and then we'll have to get rid of the truck that we have now.
And was that was purchased as a new?
Yes. Yes, but the manufacturer that we got it from, according to the fire chief, we kind of got a pig in a poke. So you get what you get. So there are not a lot of people that build fire trucks. There's only about 3 or 4 places. I believe we got that one out of New Orleans, and the last few we've gotten have come out of Wisconsin. And what we found is the company in Wisconsin is a more reliable, more trustworthy vendor than where we acquired the truck from originally. But it didn't stand up to the standard that they sold it to us at.
But you don't have any recourse with them?
Yeah.
They don't have any
Warranties
recourse?
are all out.
Wow.
Normally we had bought Ferraris.
Yes.
Now, which is supposed to be the best there is. I can remember several years ago when we got one for like $600,000, And I thought that was just ridiculous, but in looking it up, I found out that $600,000 was a bargain. So these things are extraordinarily
Very expensive.
expensive.
Mhm.
And it's not like buying a car. It's more like,
Mhm.
to use a simple example, being a farmer, it's like when I go out and buy a tractor. I know
very
that I'm going to
specialized.
spend
Mhm.
anywhere from $60,000 to $120,000 for that tractor, hoping that it's going to last at least the time that they tell me it's going to last.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, they don't. So after I've had it for about 10 years, I'm looking to sell it and get rid of it.
Yeah.
Somebody else can have the problem.
Yeah.
And I'll get a new one.
Yeah, we haven't even crossed the threshold of the wear and tear.
That's,
No.
Yeah.
But these
No.
things, generally, they'll last 20, 25 years,
Mhm.
Yeah.
generally.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I think our last one, we had it for about 20 when we replaced it with the one we have now. And I don't think we're even halfway through the original lease and we're looking to kind of get rid of it. So, yeah, it's been a while though. But the maintenance on it, it's up there. It's not right. And so after much discussion and talking to Dave Shivers and the repair guys, we would be better off getting a new one than trying to extend the life of the current one.
So we got
Thank you. Well, we're
Yep.
we're pushing up on 6:30 here.
Mhm.
But
Thank you.
But if any of you had any other questions, feel free to email me and I will respond.
Thank you.